So let's take a look at this whole centre of mass, base of support relationship, which is something that I think of in myself as mass management. How we actually manage our mass in movement is probably more important than what the bones are doing and what the muscles are doing, because at the end of the day, it is influencing the internal makeup of the body. So just to go through a couple of things here, we've got a foot scan. This is Chris standing on the force plate, which is basically receiving pressure, information, and feeding it into the computer. There's various things we can make out of this, but what I want to take right now is this little point here is Chris's centre of mass. Strictly speaking, it's his centre of gravity, which is a representation of his centre of mass, which is higher up in the body, normally around L4, L5, just below the belly button, above the pelvis, right in the midsection. As you can see, something else I've alluded to in the book there is it is not actually still. It's never ever still. So this is a critical part of understanding our joints act, muscles react part of the process. I can get information here such as how much weight is in his left foot, how much weight is in his right foot, and how much weight is in the quadrants of the forefeet and the rear feet there. Currently at the moment, Chris is holding around 53–54% in his right foot. So that is influencing his whole skeletal makeup right there. So centre of gravity here, that is defining his centre of mass position in relation to his 2 feet. If I was to draw a line around both of his feet, like so, almost a circle around the edges of his feet, then I'm actually drawing his base of support. That base of support has become, for me, a really important thing to understand. Not least because the way we change our base of support when we walk, when we move, and how we hold our base of support in stance is a real indicator as to how the whole body is holding itself above that platform. Let's just play around with Chris a little bit. If I get him to take his weight to the left, then we'll see his centre of mass move to the left. If I bring him to the right, we'll see his centre of mass move to the right. But currently, what you're not seeing is the centre of mass or centre of gravity actually leave the base of support. So this is where I want to get to. Let's watch what happens when I take Chris, go back to the resting place, Chris, and then get Chris just to stand on his right foot. So what we see here is his right foot, we manage to get his centre of mass goes right inside the foot there. And again, it's passed back inside his base of support, which is the critical factor for staying upright. So in the book, we say there's a couple of reasons we want to keep the centre of mass inside our base of support. You just rest there, Chris. When our centre of gravity leaves our base of support, one of two things can happen. One is we'll fall over. Two is we must adjust our stance in order to keep that centre of gravity inside the base of support. So what happens is he takes his left foot off the ground, he creates a smaller base of support than he had previously, and his centre of gravity shifts to fit inside that space. Now, bearing in mind that that centre of gravity is a representation of his L4, L5 in his spine, it must mean that his whole pelvis and spine has also shifted this way, which if you've ever tried to take your left leg off the ground and keep your pelvis square and your spine square, you'll realise that it's a really, really hard thing to do. Again, just moving onto one foot is a whole skeletal structural change happening right in that space there. So let's have a look at what happens when I challenge Chris's base of support. So Chris, I'm going to get you to put your left foot on the platform and the right foot outside. So currently it looks like he's stood on one leg on the platform. But what I want to do is I'm going to get his centre of mass to leave his base of support on the outside there, and we're going to watch how he reacts to that. So he'll do one of two things. He'll either fall over or he will make a change in his base of support in order to keep the centre of mass inside. So really simply, I'm just going to pull Chris to the left so that his centre of mass leaves, his centre of gravity currently between the feet leaves that left-hand border of his foot, and he makes a really quick adjustment where he brings the centre of mass back inside the base of support. So if I just to pause that moment, we can see where he's been pulled over to his left and the centre of gravity has left that safe base of support of the left foot, and his right foot has made contact with the ground. So the brain, in order to keep him upright, has changed his foot posture, and the goal of that is the new base of support looks like this, and the centre of gravity is stuck right back within it. So as soon as the body is challenged and the centre of gravity leaves that perimeter of the base of support, the brain makes an adjustment to keep himself upright, save face, and bring the centre of gravity back inside. So this is a small example of how we will always keep our centre of gravity inside our base of support through walking gait.